What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Talking Elite Fitness. I'm Sean Woodward, joined in the studio by Tommy Marquez. Tommy, how you doing?
I am doing well.
Good. We got Lauren Khalil out in New York. Lauren, how's it going today?
Swell. We are swell.
Swell. That's usually a word I would use if I was not doing well and I wanted people to think I was.
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Just making sure.
It's a real swell.
All right. Really, really swell. Well, we have a busy show today. Lauren and Tommy sat down with Jack Farlow, who's coming off his rookie season as an individual at the CrossFit Games, finished 27th there his first year. Had a really good conversation with him. And we got some news items we want to talk about. The first of which came out today, and that is that NOBULL is partnering with TB12, the Tom Brady brand, and we got a statement from NOBULL. I think this may have been in the press release, but I'll put it up on the screen. And today, Tom Brady's TB12 nutrition brand and NOBULL announced that the three companies have merged. As part of that arrangement, Brady becomes the number 2 shareholder of NOBULL behind Repol. NOBULL was founded in 2015 by Marcus Wilson and Michael Schaefer as a community-first brand built for those with the shared pursuit to be better, and quickly grew to be one of the top brands in training and CrossFit. Brady and Repol's vision is for NOBULL to become a complete wellness company aiming to provide the tools needed to help those who strive to become better every day. From sneakers and apparel to nutrition, NOBULL will be focused on all aspects of wellness. So that is once again, the official statement that we got from NOBULL. What did you think of this when you saw this?
Well, when I saw the post yesterday saying like tomorrow we evolve, I think it was.
Yeah.
And you know, people had their jokes and stuff like that. I was genuinely curious what it can mean, because depending on how you view the way things have gone for them, whether it's like there were huge discount sales, there were issues with shipping and timing coming out of the games, a lot of different things going on, maybe some difficulty scaling coming off of the NFL and PGA partnerships with the Combine. There was a leadership change at NOBULL. I'm like, I really don't know what this could be, and I'm really curious. And then I woke up to this, and honestly, this wasn't even on my radar. Not that it should be, but it was just like, oh, okay. I mean,
yeah,
Tom Brady.
There he is, old TB12, wearing the NOBULL gear. I mean, if you had told me, I was saying this to Lauren earlier, if you told me a month ago that NOBULL would in any way, shape, or form be associated with the GOAT, Tom Brady, I would have been like, you are high, and do you have anything left over that you've been smoking? Asking for a friend.
Yeah. And what's interesting is that they're retaining the NOBULL name, and Repol, who is the Mike Repol, who's the Body Armor founder, has mentioned about looking at taking the brand public. So, yeah. And so for him to convince Brady, I mean, NOBULL has its roots in New England, which is obviously where Brady made his hay as an athlete primarily. And now they're making it to be this complete wellness program, I guess, because TB12 primarily offers, you know, supplements, electrolytes, stuff like that. And Brady kind of made his TB12 brand based on his fitness and wellness lifestyle choices while he was competing that allowed him to compete for so long.
Yeah.
Some of it was his partnership with Alex Guerrero. I don't know where that stands with them. I know it's been back and forth, but yeah. So it's I know that Brady has been interested in buying a stake in an NFL team. There were talks about the Raiders a little while back.
He's going to broadcast
tentatively
next season. Well, because all the speculation is, and I don't know, would be a travesty if it happens, that he would replace Greg Olson, who I think does a great job.
Yeah. Well, I guess, yeah. Fox, they confirm that he would be the number 1 analyst alongside
How
Burkhardt.
could you not make him?
Yeah, but I think Greg Olson is the best color commentator out there.
But you don't spend all that money on Tom Brady to have him sitting
for sure.
Lauren, what did you think of this when you saw it?
I think this is a great move for NOBULL because there's nothing that Tom Brady does that doesn't end up shining like gold.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think it's a great move for him. It definitely sets them up for success in the future. And you know, we talked about. Was it the new CEO they hired or the COO, or it was a woman from Timberland that they brought on board. So this is just another step in just that rebranding. But it's something people are talking about. No idea what sort of involvement, if any, they'll have in the CrossFit ecosystem. I mean, I know they're still sponsoring athletes.
Yeah, and they've been active in comment sections, basically saying they're proud of their roots in CrossFit. And I assume if they're going to be a more comprehensive wellness company, that they wouldn't just abandon that. I mean, they did lay off 35% of their workforce back just before the games last year.
Yeah, I think 75 employees.
Yeah. So, and I think Repo was even quoted. I read somewhere in one of the pieces that has been penned about it, but they haven't decided between Brady, TB12, NOBULL how it's all going to play out in terms of how they're going to leverage his name and stature with the brand.
Well, you just put him in clothing. That's going to help.
I mean, he looks good in it, right?
Yeah.
My wife paid Roy McKernan the ultimate compliment. She goes, "Oh, I just first glance I thought that was Roy, but then I realized."
Oh my God,
that's the other Captain Handsome.
And she was like, and then I realized Roy's got more muscle. And
Whoa,
I was like,
oh wow.
So
well played.
Tiff, that's great.
We'll see if Roy listens to this podcast anymore. But
all right. Well, another thing that happened, as soon as CrossFit Games tickets went on sale, and they're gone.
And they're gone.
That's
no mas
crazy.
boletos, Tommy.
Oh,
you like that?
I like it.
I've been saving that one.
Oh,
Wondering when I'd have a chance to use it. But yeah, games tickets are now sold out. So sorry if you didn't get them, but you snooze, you lose.
Yeah.
Have they ever officially sold out?
Yeah.
I think they've had. They always have like the arena tickets sell out, right? Like
like the Coliseum.
Right. Yeah. The Coliseum.
There's always been almost like, I don't know if there's been a hard number in terms of like a finite amount of festival tickets, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because it's like, how many people can you fit outside?
Yeah.
But yeah.
And people come in, people leave.
No mas boletos.
No mas boletos. It's all sold out. So hey, that's
quien las compro.
Look, gonna have a packed house there. And sorry, I was looking at something, and I don't know if you said this or not. You probably did. Festival experience free.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, not just now, but okay. I was saying festival tickets generally haven't had like a cap, I don't think. And if they have, it's not.
It's been a soft cap.
Yeah, it's been a soft cap.
You want in, come on in. But the festival experience, from what I understand, and I hope I'm not wrong on this, I'm misspeaking, but you just want to show up and check out the vendor village and all that stuff. That's free to get on the premises, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I also asked you a question in Spanish, but
what was that?
I asked you, but who bought them? When you said there's no more tickets.
No, that's Baxter, you know I don't speak Spanish.
There's a Family Guy quote where like they go down, I think they're in a Spanish speaking country, and he's like and Peter asks the question, the guy answers the question, and he goes, "Oh, so you speak English?" And he says, "No, just that phrase and this one explaining it." The guy
That's it.
Like,
Yep.
Okay.
That's all I got. And then along those lines, credential requests, that has gone out. And it looks like from the email that was sent that there are going to be fewer handed out.
Yeah.
Because
there's no floor space. And like normally there's a media pit on the floor. Well, normally they have two things. They have one where there's seats for more media, and then for a select number of media, they normally have a pit that's just behind a barrier, but on the floor, because of the way that the stadium is laid out, there will not be a pit anymore. So nobody will be on the ground except for, those working for CrossFit that will get video of the action at play. So now there'll just be a row of seats. So less access, less media credentials for the games this year.
Open up a pit.
So wait.
Open up a pit, Lauren.
Yeah. Circle pit. Are they the seats that they're given? Will will people in those seats be allowed to have cameras, or is that just you get to watch and be part?
No, press credentials will provide access to a row of seats along one of the sidelines of the competition floor, and that will serve as pit in past years. So you will be able to have lenses capture the action. But when it comes to like grabbing athletes for interviews and some of those things, I think are still in question.
Well, I think what I would do if I were them, this is just a free suggestion, have a podium set up that, and you're used to seeing this in your days in news, a press conference podium to where everyone can plug into a malt box.
Step and repeat.
Yep.
Something.
You just set them up, you get them up there, people can fire away, like right after an event, and everyone gets a question. Yep. They can even have a pool camera there that you can pull from in case you can't have video. If you want to access it, like that would clean up a lot of.
Broadcast does the interview of the event winner. That person immediately goes to this podium where they do interviews for the rest of media.
That's it. Then everyone gets it. There's none of this, like everyone has to scramble underneath to try to get their interviews. You're in one place. Keeps it simple. Yeah. I don't know.
Don't they do that already?
I know they have it. They have that end of the day press conference, but I don't think they do anything like immediately after events.
Yeah, and also I've been to those press conferences before, and they're good for like specific information, but as an opportunity to ask athletes about like real-time action and real-time competition and things like that. I mean, you might get one, maybe two questions, and you never really know who's going to be there until, an hour before the press event. So
yeah, but this way would just clean it up. Like, I mean, you could even just have one camera shooting it, and everybody who has a credential gets to pull from that video and that audio, answer your question. It's simple. It keeps the clutter down.
Or like they do at the combine, they have like multiple.
That would be something like
places where you can go based on the athlete and ask questions, and you can always plug into the box. But
anyway, if anyone's asking, happy to help. All right, the last thing that I wanted to get to, and this was just something that I saw it this morning. I was like, that's kind of interesting. This is, let me bring it up here. This was from Athletic, and they spell athletic, TE. It's Athletic, right? Get it? Athletic News. And the headline is Lumen Fitness begins franchise expansion with Texas deal. And then you scroll down here, and the first couple of paragraphs are the world's, and this is in quotes, smartest fitness studio uses a low labor model where fitness classes can profitably run all day. Does that sound familiar? Lumen Fitness, an interactive AI-powered gamified boutique fitness studio concept, has just signed its first franchise agreement with Verge Fit Holdings, a group that plans to open 13 Lumen locations across key markets in Texas, such as Dallas, Austin, and Houston, over the next 3 years. All right, then you scroll down here, and I'll read this paragraph. Leaning into its self-appointed title as the world's smartest fitness studio, Lumen is adorned with interactive wall-to-wall LED displays. Beyond the futuristic aesthetic is a proprietary ecosystem that uses artificial intelligence, motion tracking, and object detection, all developed by fitness franchising and gaming experts. Clients can select their music of choice and training style in the Lumen Fitness app before embarking on a 40-minute, full-body, high-intensity, functional training workout with interactive elements that make working up a sweat an engaging and entertaining experience. And during their workout, participants receive real-time guidance and feedback from trainers. So it's kind of just, it's 13 locations in Texas, but it's just another thing, another group trying to get into the boutique fitness and really just copy what CrossFit has been doing since 2007.
Yeah, but I don't know, this feels like a episode out of the show Silicon Valley.
It kind of does.
Like, I don't know.
I want George go like this, not like this, like this.
Lauren, you can turn your brain off now for this.
Such a great
these
show.
next sequence.
Okay, I'll look at my email. I have many to answer.
No, I always just find it curious that so many companies try to take the same cat and skin it a different way just to separate themselves from CrossFit, and what CrossFit has really like done better than anyone, which is incorporate functional movement and community into a comprehensive class structure that like makes people happy and healthy. Like that's really as basic as it gets. And you see Barry's Boot Camp, you see F45, you see Orange Theory, and all of them feel like, I don't want to say like watered down. Maybe some of them are.
I think they are. you can dress this up however you want, right? And I think this is what has made CrossFit have such staying power, is that there are no of these special gimmicks, bells and whistles. Bottom line is that it works, right? And if you go into a lot of CrossFit gyms, you go into real good ones, they have some of the best coaches in the world there as far as movement is concerned. Whereas I don't think you have, I've never been in any of these. I've never been to an Orange Theory, never been to an F1.
I have.
Know people who have, but my guess is that that level and degree of coaching is not what it is at a CrossFit affiliate.
And there's also the level of personal, how do I say it, personal attachment to that community, right? Like when you go into this, is your AI digital real-time trainer, whatever, going to ask you about how like your sick kid was that you couldn't make class for because the previous day, or, are the people that you go to class with going to create a GoFundMe when something bad happens and your family's in a pinch, like there's like these elements of humanity that I think are really important to creating that community feel. And I guess I just don't know how that would happen, or if they have plans to do that with this like fitness studio, I guess.
Lauren, what was your experience at Orange Theory? I'm not going to ask you why you were there. I just want to know what your experience was.
So, well, I was there because I was visiting a couple of my college roommate friends, and they do not do CrossFit. They, at the time, were doing Orange Theory. So I was like, oh, you know what? Okay, I'll come and do a class with y'all. And first of all, I was treated as if I was the most athletic person that has ever walked into the room.
I've seen you trip over a painted line. So
Correct. I am good at some things, but being identified as one of the most athletic people in the room, I think we can all agree that that is typically not the scenario when I am in a room. But it was very strange because it was, I mean, I guess not strange, but very different than my CrossFit experience. You get a lot of yelling and hyping, but at no point was there any recommendation for what weight I should be using. There was never any, hey, here is how the movement is done. It basically was just like, hey, here's the workout. Here are the stations, and kind of just figure it out as you go. I was asking my friend who goes all the time a lot of questions most of the time. So it seemed like chaos to me, but
isn't that
again,
funny?
that was just my experience.
Isn't that funny? Because CrossFit would get so roasted for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
well, and then when you think of this whole AI system, it's just taking away that human connection that everybody seems to be seeking right now, especially as somebody who works from home when I'm not on the road. I look forward to going and seeing people and having, like Tommy says, a coach ask about my day, or know that I just got home from a work trip, and having those little interactions. It just seems like another terrible thing for the universe to get us further and further away from human connection.
Well, it's, again, this is just, I don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill here. It's 13 locations in Texas, but it was just interesting to me that once again, we have another organization that is looking at really is looked at what CrossFit has done, and that model continues to be copied because it works. And it's like, well, we're not going to do what they do. We're going to do a community class, but technology, and
it's almost like
I don't know if it's going to have. I'd be very interested to see if this has any staying power whatsoever.
It seems like these like.
Did it say what the cost is?
It didn't.
I have it.
Oh,
so it's the current.
Because to me that could be a driver for somebody.
So unlimited classes per month, $209. 12 classes per month, $179, $139 for 8, 4 classes for $89. So it's.
Why would you pay that money without a person?
Well, because I think a lot of people get enamored with AI and huge LED screens, and it'll give me, which again, if you don't have the coaching and someone there actually telling you how to move safely and correctly, like what good is all that stuff? And it's, as prevalent as AI is becoming in our society with everything, I mean, it was only a matter of time before it filters into the fitness industry. I just don't know if this is the way that it's going to actually work. But I wanted to throw it out there because I just thought it was interesting. People can check it out.
I think if they can do this effectively, like actually provide useful feedback and training, and then coaching cues and things like that to deliver results, it's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
You know, to use AI and some of those things and almost kind of put you in this like little, I don't know. We used to call when Julian Marquez would train downstairs.
Yeah.
He would go train at like midnight after everyone was done because he was here late working on graphics. And we would call it Club Julian. and he would just go, he would like put on lights and blast everything. And I feel like this is what it is. It's this little box of your own like nightclub mixed with fitness.
That's a probably good way to put it. But it's just another thing where it's like, hey, functional fitness works. CrossFit is already doing their thing. Well, let's do this and we'll do F45, or let's do Orange Theory, or let's put a bunch of LED screens on the wall and do the same thing. And it'll be a better experience. I'm not saying is or isn't, but it was just something that I saw. I was like, that's
it's like they use these, like they put lipstick on to kind of ease the uncertainties of people that otherwise wouldn't want to jump in right away. It's spoonful of sugar before the medicine.
I
right?
think that's probably accurate.
But I don't know.
Anyway,
yeah,
we'll see. It's going to be a while before this is more than just a little bit of a blip on the radar, but I wonder if more companies will try the same thing. Okay. Let's get now to the interview, our guest today, that Lauren and Tommy did earlier with Jack Farlow, who finished 27th in his rookie appearance at the CrossFit Games. Before we get into it, what were your... Give us a little preview here.
Yeah, guy's a stud, right?
Yeah.
Like,
we know he can lift.
Well, not just that, like
but he's smart.
There you go.
And the schedule that he maintains.
Super intelligent.
Yeah, it just hard work, really focused, really impressed, and some cool tidbits about him and his family. Like, just fascinating.
All right. Without further ado, Lauren and Tommy speaking with Jack Farlow.
All right, we are joined now by our guest for today, coming right off of a 4th place finish at Wodapalooza, a strong performance in Miami. He is a 2-time CrossFit Games athlete, once as a teenager, and making his rookie appearance at the CrossFit Games as an individual this past season, Jack Farlow. Jack, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yep. And appreciate you taking the time between your busy school schedule. But before we dive into that, I want to talk first about Wodapalooza, because it was kind of the finishing touches to the offseason, if you will, almost kind of a run into the new year. Big picture thoughts and takeaways from your performance in Miami and how you actually were able to compete against some of the top in the sport.
Yeah, for me, I think I viewed it more as like the start of like the 2024 season rather than the end of the last. And I think that was kind of the goal going in, was to like change some things with training and be a different athlete the next time I competed. So it was kind of a fresh start for me at Wodapalooza in that sense. And, I didn't really have a placing goal necessarily, but I just really needed to know that like I couldn't have done what I was going to do 4 or 5 months ago. And I didn't exactly know what that meant, but in my head I was like, okay, with this field, the top 10 would show like significant improvement. And then like even the workouts came out, and other than like the lift, I was like, oh, none of these are really like home run hits for me. So yeah, top 10 would be really, really solid. And it's kind of crazy. Like just as you don't really feel yourself getting better in training, and but then you go and you compete, and it just so happens that like you look around and you're just further ahead than you normally would be, basically, which is pretty cool experience. And then obviously like to be able to hang with like, some of the top people in our sport in events, and then also overall on the leaderboard, was just really encouraging kind of to start the year for me.
Okay, we need to go back to the lift, because if I was a betting woman and going to the casino before that event, yes, we know how strong Guy is, but I thought that I was going to watch you and him go toe to toe. Is that just I'm inflating all of your lifts for you, or like, do you prefer cleans over snatches? Like, what was the strategy going into that? And did you think that you would be able to go toe to toe with Guy?
Honestly, I kind of had an idea of where I wanted to open, and if that meant that like I was close to the top people, then yeah, maybe I start to think about it. But Yeah, to be honest, like my best ever snatch is 305, which I did at the games last year. I definitely have a stronger clean and jerk than snatch, but I think one of my strengths is my ability to like hit that basically any time. So like, or a large percentage of that anytime. So whether it's like, deep in a weekend, like at the games, or coming off of a Metcon, maybe you have like a 10-minute window. So things like that. And so honestly, like 305 is my best snatch. I was a little bit conservative and I hit 280. So like that's still a good lift for me. I have no business touching 310 for two. Yeah, especially in an event like that where you miss your first lift after a 20-minute corral, and now you're all over the place trying to get together a good lift, and that's just not how I wanted to start the weekend. So if that was a little deeper in the weekend and you kind of know who you need to beat and that kind of stuff, maybe I start a bit heavier, or relatively heavier to the other competitors. But yeah, honestly, that was a good start for me, and I think people just have a very, very small sample size of kind of where my snatches and stuff are at. So
it's an impressive sample, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say it may be a small sample size, but the lasting impression you left at the games is a pretty darn good one overall from the lifting standpoint. But what did any of your off-season preparation play into the ultimate strategy of where you finished up in that and what lifts you went for? Because you made a post, and I remember I don't know if it was before Wadapalooza or after, but saying how you wanted to err on the side of your weaknesses in terms of making adjustments to your training with you and your coach. And a lot of times you see athletes that are so competent at one thing, like whether it's primarily lifting, they're willing to let a little bit of performance go for the sake of a bigger picture. And when you open with an event like that, was there any reservation about doing that, or still trying to go for it and win? Or were you just perfectly content?
Yeah, I'd say I was perfectly content. I also, at that point, like, I think the top lift was 280. So like I tied what the best had done at that point. And I wasn't expecting Guy to go 310. So like I would have thought maybe the winning lift was 290, 295. So yeah, I don't know. I guess just preparation in that regard. Like I've still been lifting a fair bit. It's just not the focus and not where I'm spending most of my time. But I still feel confident with even like my best numbers, like that I can hit them. So I feel like I've just lost a bit of touch, maybe just spending less time, but I feel like the strength is all still there.
During Wadapalooza, you just put a post up recently that you kind of broke character of what we're used to seeing. You start cracking up when James Sprague slammed his face on the ground. What happened? Were you like so focused and then you see that you just lost it?
Well, yeah. So if people don't know, that workout started with 20 wall walks, and I think all of us as athletes were shocked that we were going through with it, especially when we got out to the floor and the kind of padded portion of the floor there where we do all the handstand work literally had pools of water. So we tried our best to dry it, but yeah, James let us off there, and he didn't have much regard for his body. I mean, I don't know if he slipped or he kind of just let gravity play its role, but yeah, to be honest, at that point, that was after individual competition. I was pretty tired mentally, and like I didn't do a great warm up for that event, and I was kind of dreading getting started, and I just saw him just all over the place on the wall, and I just couldn't help myself. So yeah, that was pretty fun. Yeah.
James is the perfect guy for that too. I feel like that you can just break character and laugh like that. But I want to circle back to one thing you just said about you feel like you didn't have your touch with lifting. How do you define that? What is touch when you're talking about lifting? Because I think most people assume that you're regularly touching a barbell and lifting to an extent, but it seems like that's almost like a fine motor type thing for you.
Yeah, I'd say it's even more of like a confidence thing, maybe. Like a good example of that is leading up to semifinals last year. I forget what day of the week it was, but once a week I would do this running workout, and then kind of with faster intervals, and then I'd do some snatches. And after my snatch work, it always just ended with build to a heavy single for maybe 4 or 5 weeks in a row. So like not max out every week, but that was the first time I snatched 300 was week 1 of that progression, or week 1 of that cycle kind of. And I think I hit it 4 weeks in a row. And that's leading up to semi. So
Wow.
like I just had like that 300 in my back pocket basically. And then when the max snatch came out for semifinals, I was like, well, like we're just doing it again next week basically. And so right now, like with training, I don't feel I could just line up 300 at any day. That being said, like if there was a max snatch in with the right format, obviously, I'm pretty confident I could hit it, but it's not just that same like automatic confidence that maybe I had last year.
Just hear you say that automatic confidence with 300 in your back pocket it jumbles my brain a little bit, just knowing how long, like from a sport perspective, how long it took the games athletes to get to that number, and now it's just like you got that 4 weeks in a row. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, it seems people are going well beyond 300 now. Like that kind of used to be the gold standard, and maybe it still is, but yeah, we've seen some like 315s, 320s, even into 330s now. So yeah, work there maybe to be done, or at least definitely maintain. But another thing to be said is like my snatch and clean and jerk. Maybe I feel that way, but I've had really good success with back squat and deadlift, and those aren't really my strongest lifts. Like I think people assume because I have a good snatch and clean and jerk that all weightlifting is really good for me. And none of it's bad, but like I'm not going to win the rogue deadlift event either. So and I've also seen like pretty good progression with those things in the past 4 months, even though they weren't necessarily the focus of training either.
So with knowing that, you know, you've already attained 300, and that was before, up until I feel like 2 years ago, that was like magic. If you saw that, it was very rare. Is there like goals that you have in mind for certain lifts that maybe aren't just like a year goal, but lifetime PRs that you're looking to hit? Because we know you're already strong enough to do what you need to do in CrossFit, but just goals in general.
Yeah, honestly, now I think more of my goals are on like the cardio side of things. That being said, I still don't have a 500 back squat. I think my best is 490 or 495 even. So that would be a nice one to check off the list, and I think that'll come one day. But yeah, like now it's like a lot of things like running. I've been doing a lot of, so, and I also really enjoy it. So it's fun to have that kind of maybe like a sub whatever 5K or mile time that would be good to hit.
Mm-hmm.
You love lifting and running?
Yeah. To be honest,
I didn't know that anybody could love both of those.
I love lifting in competitions because I know I'll do well, but like I honestly really enjoy kind of like the slower, just cardio based work I've been doing. You know, you turn YouTube on and get something going in your ears, a podcast or audiobook or something, and if you get in the groove there, like it's a great feeling just to be, you know, moving for close to an hour even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Is that for you? Is that more zone 2 work, or is it? Do you get that specific on it?
Yeah, we've done a little bit of testing, kind of in the off season, like physiologically, to kind of determine where I need to be sitting for my zone 2 work, and that's something I haven't in the past really done that much of, and definitely not been that specific on. Like, you know, I might have had an easy run, but I'm probably pushing like a bit too hard there just because like it feels maintainable.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's something we've been incorporating a lot of, and then obviously just overall fitness intervals and that kind of stuff. So a bit of it all, and I feel like it's paid off.
Yeah, and so kind of putting a bow a little bit on Wadapalooza, was there an event? And I know that things got switched on the fly, and you guys were forced to kind of be a little bit more flexible with the programming than what was anticipated. Was there a test and an event there that where you look back, you're like, yeah, that's the one, like it gets me excited about what we've been doing in the off season and how I've been preparing, on top of the fact that, you know, I think I said 4th early, but you were 5th. alongside like Vellner, Quant, Gerard, guys that are all on the podium at the CrossFit Games?
Yeah, I'd say kind of one standout, but two other ones that were good as well. When they changed the workouts on the first day, the first one they changed was supposed to be all the barbell cycling with bar muscle ups, and they changed that to deadlifts and burpees, which aren't like great movements for me. But I really just tried when I heard a change was coming to think like to not even think about, is this better for me relative to the old workout? And in a weird way, I was really able to do that. I think my coach shared with me after that he did not feel the same way. But so just on that workout, the deadlifts, burpees, and dips, front squats, I remember being super nervous going into that one. I was thinking if this was a training workout, like the kind of pace I would take with it, and I was like, oh, but that might be too slow. But actually, looking at the heat before us go, I saw their burpee pace and kind of like later into the workout how they were breaking. And I was like, okay, no, like I just need to do exactly what I thought. And so I did that, and I think I came 13th in that event. Similar thing on the run, swim workout with the drag double unders. Like I just did my thing, and those were workouts where I got 13 or 14th overall versus avoiding those bottom 10, bottom 15 finishes. So those are kind of the low key victories. And then obviously the big one for me was the workout that ended with the dumbbell snatches, rowing, wall balls, strict pull-ups. And again, that would never have been a good workout for me. And that was kind of what I'm talking about. I finish a movement and look around, and I'm the second one to the box, and then I'm the second one to the dumbbell. And so finishing that, I think I came second in the time. And I was super, super pumped after that. Like I had a little celebratory moment with my coach. He was up in the stands. Yeah, that was I shocked myself, but that was like I've definitely gotten better moment.
Moving in now to the season, the off season specifically. I mean, it's not really an off season for you because you're also a full-time engineering student. I'm curious how you balance a schedule like that, especially with a major that is so demanding and so specific. Like, have you figured out a structure that works for you, and what does that look like?
Yeah, I got really lucky this year with my schedule for school. So it's all my classes are just midday. So I basically have until 11 a.m. At the gym most mornings, with an exception of one day that I kind of made my rest day. So I have like a big chunk of time, like 3-4 hours in the morning to get up and get a really good session in there. And then after school, I'm able to go actually to my sister's house, and she has an awesome garage gym, and do my second session there. And they just live like 2 minutes away. So it's super convenient. Some days, like literally every second of my day is doing something like productive. If I don't have like anything pressing, like we're still early in the school term, so some tests and stuff haven't come up yet. And like I'm able to take Saturday and basically do nothing school wise. But as things pick up, like if I'm not training, I'll be doing school. And if I'm not doing school, I'm probably stretching or sleeping. So it's pretty tight like that. And I have to like, get like meal prep and stuff ready to go just to save little bits of time. But honestly, I think it's a good thing just to kind of take your mind off, CrossFit's really easy to be always looking at Instagram, what other people are doing, how was your training today? But if you have to be done by 11 a.m. to go do like a lab for school, you don't really stress over the little things, which I think has pros for sure.
We were chatting a little bit before this, but was that correct? And you said that 30 hours worth of class and lab time a week is what you got so far?
Yeah, I got 5 classes and a lab, so it's a full schedule, and I might think about doing some sort of part-time thing, but they don't allow it in my program, so I'll just roll with it.
And just to be clear, it's what biomedical engineering is your program. So
yeah,
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people's eyes roll back in their heads when they hear that, because it's like the schedule just sounds insane. But do you function better like that? Are you someone that typically likes to have, wall to wall kind of day planned?
I think I do. I'm not sure if like it is the best scenario, but like I don't think it's like hurts me. I think ideally I would probably have a little bit less on my plate. But yeah, for me, like just keeping busy is kind of fills me, like versus getting home and watching TV for a couple hours and then going for session 2. I don't know. Like I just don't really feel fulfilled. I've had times like that, in like the summer and stuff where I have that going on. But yeah, it works for me. So I got still 2 more years to do it, and then I'll kind of reassess there.
Oh man.
How does the like semifinals and games schedule work with your school schedule? Are there any instances that you foresee that you might have to take tests early, or you might have to communicate with your professors and explain like, hey, I'm also a professional athlete, and they might not understand that since like CrossFit isn't as mainstream as other sports.
Yeah. So I also I basically have school every other 4 months, and then we have like I'm in a co-op program. So last summer actually I was in school for like all of training for the games, and it was surprisingly really, really difficult to get like any sort of changes made. So I had to miss a couple of things for semis, obviously, in that same term. And then it was exam season during the game. So before the term even started, I went to I think they call it like academic advisor, and I told her like kind of what this whole thing is. And I didn't want to like boast, but I felt like I had to, because otherwise they think I'm just going to like lift some weights on the weekend. But she basically told me, well, it's not a school sport, so there's nothing like we can really do. And I was like, oh, I can't take that answer. So I escalated it basically as high as I could, and I was sending like links to like different things from the past, and like just really trying to show that this is like a legit thing. And thankfully it was able to be taken care of. So just for exams for the games, as soon as I got back, I was writing them, or I wrote a couple early. And so yeah, just things like that. But I actually have no more summer school terms, so hopefully that's a thing of the past.
Oh
Thank
man,
God for that.
So watch out 2024. You got a nice summer term to get ready to go to Texas, hopefully. Is there any sort of like I don't want to say envy, I guess, because we spoke to Emma just a few days ago, and she's a full-time athlete now, and it's almost like you are on very different ends of the spectrum as far as like school and time is concerned in terms of what's available for training.
Yeah, I mean, for me this works, and I'll have my time if I want to go all in on it. And I don't know if she feels like that's what's gonna make her happiest and produce the best result on game day. I say all the power to you. But yeah, so nothing really there. I'm just enjoying kind of being in school is stress-free in a sense. Like I don't feel like I have to be making a ton of money because I'm like just still in school, and all the other people in my class aren't raking in a couple thousand in Miami on the weekend. So it's nice in that regard.
Definitely not.
No, yeah, exactly. It's nice, and I still live with my parents at home, so it's nice just to kind of be stress-free, like financially, and hopefully, like as things progress in CrossFit, I can kind of up that.
Mm-hmm.
You're one of 9, which I think is such a cool thing, because when I went to high school, I knew maybe 2 or 3 families that were like one of like 8 or even one of 11, but they all grew up on farms. But that's not the case for your family, right?
No. Yeah, we lived pretty close to like Toronto, which is like the biggest city in Canada, obviously. Just like a couple 30-minute drive probably.
So where do you fall in the order of your brothers and sisters, and how many of them are living at home with you? Do you get to train with them? What's the dynamic like?
Yeah, it's I'm the youngest, so obviously some are quite a bit older than me, who I never really like lived with growing up, just because they were already off to university or whatnot. And right now it's just me and my parents, which is kind of funny because, like, you know, they were like changing diapers for 25 years straight, and now it's just me and them. So, yeah, in that sense, it's just me. But a lot of my siblings live really close, and they're into, you know, they've done like more CrossFit type stuff in the past, but they're still doing a lot of fitness. So, like, my one sister did every track workout with me last summer, and we plan to do the same this summer, which they're super excited for. And yeah, even when I go to my sister's house, like I was saying, for my second session, a lot of days, either her or my brother-in-law is going to join for summer, all of it. So that's pretty cool that I get to share that with them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess being the youngest maybe changes that dynamic again, but I always feel like with a big family like that, it's just a little bit of constant chaos with people coming and going 24/7. And I don't know, maybe there's an advantage for being like the quote unquote like the baby of the family, you know. But like I don't know. I just see the movie Cheaper by the Dozen. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
I just picture that going on at all times, except maybe just like barbells and wall balls flying all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's just me now, so it's pretty chill. But like at Christmas or family gatherings, especially now that they're like nieces and nephews and in-laws, it just, yeah, it's pretty crazy. And I think when Emma comes to those events, she's at first at least was a little bit shocked. You know, she's just one of two kids. So, and now at my family gatherings, there's like, you know, like 25 people. That's kind of just like immediate family with in-laws and stuff. So, yeah, it is pretty crazy, but honestly, I love it. I have so many siblings to, like, you know, who like support me, cheer me on, but also if I need anything, like, you know, leading up to the games, between my sister and brother-in-law, they were making all my food, so that was totally covered. And just things like that. Like they're super interested in what I do, and they're definitely my biggest fans with my parents, so it's pretty cool.
Man, you guys could field an inter squad like lacrosse or pond hockey team with subs too. That'd be for Christmas every year. It'd be awesome.
They should. That would be so fun. We should coordinate that.
Yeah, most of them actually made it out to the games, and I think quite a few will again this year. So it'll be pretty cool.
For your entire family, were athletics something that was like on the list of things you guys would all do growing up? What were some of the sports that y'all played together, or was it a dynamic where you really had to like try to become an athlete?
No, I think we all played, like, yeah, definitely we all played multiple sports. Not all at like an elite or high level, even just like house league and stuff, but we all had the opportunity to play a sport. And I think like for most of the boys, hockey was that sport, and a lot of the girls played soccer. But growing up, I played a year of baseball, a year of football, or more than a year of hockey, lots of hockey, lacrosse. So I kind of got exposed to everything. And, you know, thankfully when I was growing up, I had older siblings and my dad to drive me everywhere, versus I think my older siblings kind of, you know, my parents weren't quite as available for them. So, yeah, I think we're all athletic, and some of us just kind of took it off with it a bit more.
For sure. You're a part of and kind of touching on sports as a younger athlete. You went to the games as a 16, 17-year-old teenager. You're part of I would say, I guess, a 2019 kind of graduating class where now 3 athletes have made it to the games. Dallin, you, James, and even a year behind, and Tudor has made it as well.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are really kind of the flag bearers for the teenage boys divisions making that next jump, whereas we've seen varying degrees on the women's side. Is there any pride in that? What is it like for you to be able to kind of be in that group, almost kind of like, hey, we're the guys that are breaking that barrier on the teenage boys side to kind of make that next step?
Yeah, I think it's really cool. Like, I mean, Dallin, 5th at the games last year. I feel like he's kind of broken in a bit before, and now me and James are kind of getting in there as well, which is really cool. But yeah, I've always been kind of comparing myself to those guys, like even like 2-3 years ago when we were like first heat of semis, just, you know, like how are they holding up, and just, you know, not not letting that define my success, but just seeing kind of what's possible. And then, like I said, obviously Dallin was kind of getting into like the big leagues, the big dogs a bit faster than us, but just to show that progression is possible. And now, yeah, like you said, there's a couple of us that are really, we've broken in and now we're kind of making our way up, which is really cool to do together, especially with James. I feel like our trajectories have been similar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are some of those things that you're able to do to kind of make sure that you don't compare yourself? I know you said you limit Instagram, and that's more or less because your schedule is so busy, but I'm sure there's other people that envy that, because so many times you're just seeing these highlight reels and it's incredibly easy to think, oh, wow, they're at this stage of training and I don't feel like I'm there. Is there anything that you can kind of do to like get your mind out of some of those thoughts, or something completely outside of CrossFit?
Yeah, honestly, like I do a lot of looking at other people, but I don't let it really get to me. Like I've heard like other people have like all their competitors muted on Instagram and stuff like that. And I don't do any of that. I think like in a way I still view myself as a bit of a fan. Like when I watch their stuff, I'm not really thinking, can I do that? It's more like, ooh, like that's cool. Or like when I'm watching some of their YouTube stuff, I'm really just interested in what they're doing. I'm not necessarily comparing that to me. I think I find a lot of confidence in just like my training and like the progressions I make there. And then like it's obviously really good to look back on like a competition like Wadapalooza just for that extra hit of like, okay, yeah, like we're going in the right direction. So for me, that's never really been too much of a problem. I can definitely see how other people could let it kind of consume them, but yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much advice there.
Mm-hmm. We joke about sometimes, because obviously Sean's going to be turning 50 here. I'm edging closer to 40, and we got some old bones on this podcast with some city miles on it. But we joke about, like being in that like sweet spot right now, that you're in your early 20s, you're starting to develop as an elite athlete and as a professional athlete. And I try to think back to that time where I'm like, man, there was a point where like when you almost kind of hit 20 and it just feels like you start to put on like your grown man weight and everything starts clicking in a way. Have you felt that in that initial like transition over to the individual side? Because I think we've seen the teen boys take a couple years to really make that leap comparatively to the women. And I'm curious to get your perspective on that transition.
Yeah, I feel like I had a bit of that in the past like 4 years, basically with strength. Like it just seemed like every time I touched the barbell, it was lighter than the time before, or felt lighter than the time before. And that kind of progressed over a couple of years. More recently, though, I feel like that's been how it is with like fitness stuff. Like I can do a set of whatever movement and not be totally taxed, or I can do bigger sets, things like that. And also with more of like the kind of brute strength things, like I said, deadlift and back squat, and even like a heavy dumbbell snatch, things like that. So yeah, I've definitely felt that. Like I said, I feel like it kind of is come in two waves, one with more strength and more recently with the fitness, although that might just be matching kind of the stimulus that I'm giving it. So yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of it kind of goes unseen until you compete, and then you realize, like I said, like I kind of mentioned earlier, how much better you've gotten. So yeah, it's pretty cool now just to see that like I can be competitive with like the top people, which in a way like years ago I maybe thought would have been never possible. So yeah, it's pretty nice to see.
What are some of the goals like going into this season that might be new compared to last season, and just from some of the biggest takeaways or things you've learned?
Yeah, I think as an athlete, like especially looking back the past couple of years on like semifinals and stuff, it's so important to be able to run your own race and view the weekend as a whole rather than event by event. And so kind of when that hit me was going into semis this past year. Just like I think it was on the way to the event, like traveling, I was thinking, if this was an online competition, I would have no I would think I would have no issue finishing top 12, which was what you needed to make the games. And I was trying to think why that isn't the case going in as in person. And I think it's just because as I start an event, I'm thinking where I am amongst other people too early. Oh no, I'm in the back of this event. And, you know, I'm not thinking of like, well, I'm going to have my event that I crush. And when it's an online leaderboard, obviously you just do your best every workout and then everything's kind of tallies up at the end. And so that's kind of the approach I took at semis that year. And I felt like I got kind of more in the zone for workouts. I wasn't concerned with what other people were doing. Maybe at the very end you get like a sprint finish and that's when you really have to like, you know, race. But for the most part, it's kind of just do what you can with what you have for each event. And then as you get better, just overall, you're gonna get move up the leaderboard. So that's kind of the approach I took there, and something I've continued on for the competition since.
It's one thing to do it at semifinals, but I also feel like it's a whole nother beast at the games when you add the stage of competition and the fans and everything like that, and the caliber of athletes, and it can swallow rookies up sometimes.
For sure.
And it seemed like you found a little bit of a stretch as the competition wore on. Was there kind of an oh crap moment where like this is like we call it in the NFL like your welcome to the league rookie type moment where like maybe you get popped in the mouth a little bit and you're like, oh yeah, all right, this is the big leagues. I got to knuckle down a little.
Yeah, I mean, like semis and games last year, giving my best at semis was still going to be like a top 15, 20 finish, and then giving your best at the games might be a bottom 3, right? So, yeah, like it's a bit of a shock there. I think everyone just becomes so good that there's not really any room for error, and definitely for me, the first 2 events kind of back to back was that like that punch to the face like you're talking about. Like the first event, I tried to like, you know, keep up with people and then kind of just my whole body gave out with like cramps and stuff. And that's not like an unlucky thing. I think that speaks to my like maybe lack of preparation for an event like that, lack of pacing in an event like that. So we've done some things to kind of avoid that in the future. And then I was totally smoked going into event 2, and I didn't even do that poorly really, but I remember just finishing up that first day, and I think I had like 2 bottom 5 finishes and like a 27th or something, and just laying on the floor in the hotel and being like, oof, like little adjustment of expectations. And but yeah, so that kind of welcome to the big leagues moment.
Yeah.
But now you're at least past that moment of being punched in the face, or at least like if it happens again, you won't be as surprised or shocked.
Yeah.
Is there like a type of expectation that you now would have at the CrossFit Games, knowing that, you know, I've already made my rookie debut as an individual? Like, does it add any more pressure knowing that you've already achieved that part?
No, I don't think so. I think definitely, last year it is kind of like a whatever happens. I feel pretty confident that like even on my worst weekend, I'm going to outperform last year. So nothing really like that. I think like, you know, actually like going into this new year, like 2024, I just kind of jotted down a couple goals in my phone for the year, like, New Year's type, not resolution, but goals or things I wanted to accomplish. And I ended up putting top 10 for Wadapalooza, and then I really struggled with like, oh, is that how I'm going to define my success? And so I did put a number for the games, but again, I don't want that to be the make or break. I think really I'll finish the competition and know like I'll be happy either way, but I'll just define my success based on kind of how I feel about the weekend as a whole. And it'd be nice to have check marks on all those things in my notes app at the end of the year, but it's not going to define whether it was a successful year or not.
I'm assuming you want to keep that number close to your chest and not tell us.
No, I can. It was 10. It was top 10 for both Wodapalooza and the games. And I was kind of just thinking that, like, top 10 at Wodapalooza is obviously less impressive than at the games, but if I can continue improving over the next 6 months between the two, then yeah, that was the thoughts behind that.
Well, I mean,
Awesome.
you checked the first one off pretty quickly. I mean,
Yeah.
you knocked that Wodapalooza one out of the park, and you looked great doing it. But as someone who, you grew up playing sports and everything like that, we have this tendency to almost kind of like fantasize about like that big under the lights type moment, whether it's hitting a game winning shot or scoring the overtime goal.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like in CrossFit, a lot of times that moment, absent of winning, is hitting like winning the lifting event. And you got to basically live that event in your rookie season. So, like, first off, like, what was that moment like for you, snatching 305 and pretty much putting 400 pounds over your head like that? And just in retrospect, was it something that you envisioned and kind of dreamt about? And how did it compare?
Yeah, I think like as soon as they announced that event, I was thinking like, oh, like I gotta win that. And I think in my head I always thought that I would as well. I knew there were some other really strong lifters. So I was hoping maybe with the cuts that would take out a few of them. But then after that first day, honestly, my mindset was just to get to the lift, like, because I knew that'd be a great opportunity for me, even if it was only like a 5th place finish or something. I really just wanted to be able to showcase what I had there. So thankfully, I had a couple of good events on day 2 that got me there. But honestly, like, yeah, like you said, like winning that event makes me look back on the games as a whole, like purely with fond memories, versus even if I'd come second or third in that event, then I maybe start to think more about that first day. And it was like a great consolation prize, basically. And that's one that I'm not that interested anymore. Like I want to be just higher overall on the leaderboard. But for me last year, and got my name out a little bit more as well, which is nice. But yeah, that was like definitely like the highlight of my CrossFit career thus far.
Mm-hmm. And I know you mentioned writing down some goals and some things to achieve. And this is my last question, and then we'll let you get back to your like 50 hours of schoolwork a week.
So much.
Looking back in the last couple of years, you've been able to compete at Rogue. You've been able to compete, at Wodapalooza. You've been able to compete at the games, and those are a lot of times, just from a broad athlete perspective, some of like the big competitions and things you want to be able to say you've done in your career. Is there anything else, even in your peripheral like that you still want to accomplish or maybe try and compete at? Even considering like FitFest UK, which you got to do, which was a super cool format, and Lauren was at. I'm just curious if there's anything else in that mind's eye that you want to knock out.
Yeah, I think one day when the time is right, I'll definitely make the trip to Dubai. Like that just seems like such a cool place, and I know Emma's done it, and the travel's like pretty terrible, but I think it's just something that like 20 years from now I'd look back on and think about like the cool experiences I got to do. So yeah, going to the UK was awesome. Like competition aside, just to be able to travel to compete, which is it's really cool. So yeah, Dubai's probably on the bucket list one day. I'm not really sure when. Yeah, I guess just whenever it makes sense. But yeah, honestly, I'm happy to just keep showing up to those big ones, Rogue, Wodapalooza, things like that, and those are smaller travel, but still travel for me, which is fun, and not too stressful on the body either, because it's just a short flight. So I'd say Dubai was the main one, and yeah, I'm always open for opportunity though.
Mm-hmm. I lied. I got one more question. What is it about your coach that you think makes him a good fit for you, and just a great coach in general? Because I feel like he sits at just the outside of that initial grouping of where people think of like I don't want to say superstar coaches, because I don't know if we're there yet, but like the big name coaches in the space.
Yeah, I honestly think he's like just a student of the game, like similar to I'd like to think I am, and I think that's what makes us collaborate yeah, I mean, he does all my programming, but we definitely go back and forth with ideas, especially after competitions or new training cycles. And I think like he's always looking at what other people are doing, what's working, but then also like really just dialing in on me and Emma and what our needs are. Like he's not coaching other top athletes, so he's really able to like look at all of our training pieces. Like you know, I started to write all my workouts on a whiteboard, a session by session, so I wouldn't put any of my scores in my app until the end of the session. And he didn't like that because he likes to from home piece by piece see how I did. So like he's just like really committed to us as athletes, and I think he's continuing to build like a wealth of knowledge that he can share with us. He's not like stuck in his ways by any means. You know, we're always looking at areas for growth. So I really just think that's what makes him great.
And not to be ironic, but I didn't even say his name, and I should have. Josh Woolley from Mammoth Training Methods. Just a heads up so anyone's aware if they're curious for everyone at home. But Jack, thanks so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us today. It's been awesome watching you compete, especially in the last year. And yeah, man, best of luck the rest of the season, and hopefully catch up with you soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Big thanks to Jack Farlow for taking the time to do that. Good kid, man.
Yeah, dude, 1 of 9, youngest of 9.
I can't. Yeah, I've got 1, and it's like it's like having a blender without a lid running on it the whole time. So I can't imagine 9.
I feel like by the time he came around, they were like,
they're just raised. The other kids are raising him,
or like mom and dad were like, "Here's your welcome basket.
Yeah.
She has everything you should need.
Your orientation folder here.
Yeah. We will see you in 18 years.
Yeah. All right. Good luck. Okay. Let's get into our community support before we get into PRs and no reps to close this thing out.
Yeah, this one has been going around the community, CrossFit ATR in Mission Valley and down in San Diego. There's been some off and on rainstorms here in California, and one of the flash floods that resulted from it flooded CrossFit ATR Mission Valley. I think Castro's posted about it. There was an article in Morning Chalk Up, but they've started a GoFundMe to help recoup the losses and damage that was done to the gym. It was completely flooded. You can see it on social media. They've put on there. Zia Rorba, who's been a longtime member of the community, and I think she owns CrossFit Counterculture too. But she also might own CrossFit ATR. But there's a GoFundMe going, and it's gotten some support. But if you guys want to help out, I think this is what the community does best, and rallying around our own, particularly when stuff like this just happens and displaces not just 1 or 2, but an entire community.
Yeah.
So you go to GoFundMe.com, you just type in CrossFit ATR, and it should pop up. It's titled CrossFit ATR Needs Your Help, and they're raising money for the gym.
Cool. Good cause. Yeah, let's help them out and get that thing back on track. All right, PRs, no reps. Who wants to start?
Ooh.
I can start with my no rep because it happened yesterday.
Oh.
Okay. Mine did too. You go
So
first,
as you
Sean.
both know, I am leaving on vacation Saturday to celebrate my 50th birthday, which is a week from yesterday.
Big 5-0.
So it's the last week of my 40s. So I have done my best. My wife has done her best to keep this a secret. I have done my best to not be nosy. I don't want to know anything. I want this to be a surprise. All right. So yesterday I'm picking up my son from preschool. He has a friend named Mila, and he and Mila have known each other since they were like a month old. That's how long they've been hanging out.
Yep.
And Mila's mother was there.
Oh no.
And I made the mistake we did the stop and chat. I'm like, hey, how you doing? How's this? How's that? How's Vera? That's her other daughter. And she said, good. And then she just blurts out, so when are you going to Hawaii? And I'm like, oh, that's where I'm going. And she just kind of got this look on her face. I was like, oh, yeah, I didn't know. And she just kind of like pushed the conversation on. But I was super excited about it. And I felt terrible because I don't want to lie to my wife and tell her that I know and have her play out this thing. So I let her know, but now I know, and I'm really excited. I don't know any other details, but that's, I was like, I don't want to know anything else. So that's my no rep. I almost made it to the finish line, and then it's the random. So when's this happening? I was like,
oh my gosh.
Well, thanks. I
have been that person that almost spoiled it like 3 times.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I've like caught it and changed the subject before like the light bulb went off. But that is
that's fun. Yeah,
that is crazy.
So, you can't. Sometimes you just don't count for the outlier. You know.
Yeah. Lauren, what was yours?
Dating apps.
Oh, okay.
No.
Here we go.
Here
we go. We should have led the show with this. All right, let's settle in.
And I am open to being told right now that, Lauren, you're being sensitive. He was just like being funny, but
let's help out.
Okay. Yeah. Help out. So they are a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
Terrible. It is, and it's weird because I have weddings that I have been in for friends where they've met on dating apps.
Same here.
So for some people, it's great. I would say from my personal experience, nothing but a dumpster fire. So I mentioned to somebody that I enjoy playing golf. It came up in conversation, and their response.
Oh, we're gonna give this verbatim.
Oh, yeah, I have the screenshot and I will read it. Now, do you say you golf and ride in the cart and drink, or do you actually get out and hit the ball? Is that to me? I'm
not gonna lie. I was expecting a lot worse.
I was too.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot worse that are not appropriate to read on here. But to me, I'm just like, Bish, I could probably outdrive you.
I think that's an attempt
maybe that's
to be
just
funny.
me being me.
Yeah.
That's an attempt to be funny, an ill-advised one in my book, but an attempt to be funny.
And because maybe
that's what he does.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could fire right back and just like go to the driving range and take a video of you just freaking roping one.
Yeah.
Just hitting a piss missile off the deck.
Say nothing and just send that.
Just be like, there you go. That's what I do. And then just shotgun a beer.
Yeah, and then have someone toss you two
Stone Cold style.
That would be perfect. Okay, see, this is why I need to like consult you guys for a good response.
Yeah.
Look,
bottom line is, people, best relationships and best interactions you're going to have are going to happen face to face in person. Get out there and talk to other people.
Agreed.
Get out from behind.
Do you have a list of places that I can go?
Not in your locale, but
not in northern New York.
Sorry,
upstate New York.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Just my little bit of advice.
So that's my no rep. Dating apps. Nobody knows how to flirt. Nobody knows how to talk.
I was expecting a lot worse. I'm like, because I've done a lot worse than that in my idiotic days. Tommy,
no
rep.
Way to just brush that one.
Yeah, I've said a lot worse than my own wife. So,
my first no rep is Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson
from
the Lions.
Wow.
Has anyone done a welfare check on Rich Froning?
No.
No,
because he's a Lions fan, and that was. I'm
tied for the record for the biggest blown lead in an NFC Championship game.
I don't necessarily think that all the fourth down calls for Dan were bad, but there were some situational ones, especially towards the end when you have a chance to tie it. That
well, the 4th and 2 early on, right after the 49ers came back and got some points.
Yeah,
you blunt that momentum by just saying, "All right, we'll match you.
Just chip it." Yep. And then just everything that fell out from there. It was like the most Lions thing ever. Off the helmet.
I mean, when's the last time you saw that happen?
I can't remember where it's gone through a defender's hands, hit him in the helmet, and the receiver pops over the falling defender. It catches
I had to listen to the 49ers home radio crew call that. And I get there is a requisite amount of homerism that goes on in a radio booth.
Oh, they have no.
But they go above and beyond.
Is it like Greg Papa or something is his name?
And listen, this is not about their ability, but they were having cheers and chants in the booth. The two of them were like chanting. I was like, guys, calm down.
The Ben Johnson run play calling on the goal line where they had to burn a timeout and basically force them to kick an onside was unbelievable. But
brutal.
My other real no rep was dogs chewing things.
Because you had a morning.
I had a morning dog sitting in the younger pup got into the dad's toolkit and basically tore apart a 50-piece socket wrench set, and I either scattered all over the yard, so I had to go and collect and count all of the sockets to make sure that none of them were ingested, because then we would have to go to the vet and make sure that everything was going to be all right. Thankfully, that wasn't the case, but oh boy, that was.
Dozer used to eat all kinds of stuff, right? Like he'd puke up socks. And I remember I brought him. He was really young.
Sock?
Oh yeah, he'd puke up socks. He'd do all kinds of stuff, right? I remember. Thank God no one was around. But we were in the office here. We were back in the meeting room. I think a meeting had just wrapped up, and I had him because he was like just a puppy, right? And he went in the corner, and we had a woman living with us at the time because she was, long story short, she was like on assignment in our area when she was staying with us, and Dozer puked up a pair of her underwear.
No.
Thank God there was no one around.
Awkward.
Yeah. I'm like, what have you been doing, dude? So yeah, dogs lead anything, man.
All
right,
Saber, when he was 6 months old, ate 3 pounds of rocks and had to have emergency surgery.
Oh man.
3 pounds?
Yeah, the vet went like this, and you could hear them jingle. Yeah.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
My buddy's beagle ate a 2-pound chocolate bunny at Easter one
dear.
time, and they rushed him over, and the dog just like owned it.
Yeah.
It was just like it was like comical. He's like, we like sat him on the table and we were like getting ready for stuff, and then the dog just like and it was like fine again.
I know, right? Yeah,
Oh my God.
All right, PR. You know what? I'll PR just the NFL because they did not have any controversial calls, ruin 2 very good games.
It was a very good. I thought it was very well officiated.
So I was fingers crossed because all those conspiracy theories were being thrown around out there, and I was like, let's not do this anymore. And it was good, clean weekend of football, except for that last game. And now I'm building a bunker in my backyard because we cannot have that team that shall not be mentioned raise the Lombardi trophy. This just can't happen.
I know.
Come on, Chiefs.
I thought you were gonna PR Taylor Swift.
Whatever. I'll PR her for the rest of my life if that team wins the Super Bowl and saves me the agony that is going to be coming this offseason. Okay.
Hell yeah.
What about you, Lauren?
PR.
I'm gonna PR Tommy, who recommended to get a certain card that gives me access to airport lounges.
Nice.
Oh my God. I knew that the food was going to be good, but honestly, my favorite part of the lounge was that they have the really, really nice coffee and espresso machine.
Yeah.
Yep.
I had a quad pulling shots. Going crazy. I was getting my money's worth, baby.
Which airport?
This was Philly.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It was a good one. The only thing I mentioned to Sean, I don't know that I mentioned to you, is that I was wildly underdressed.
Oh, I always feel out of place on there because I should be yes, business and thoughts, NASDAQ and Dow Jones portfolio.
Everybody else is in suits and in heels and dresses, and I come in looking like I am homeless, like no makeup on.
People are handing you their dirty plates.
Yeah, I'm in sweats. People were like, did she wander in here by mistake or on purpose? But it was amazing.
Hello, fellow business people.
Yeah. S&P 500.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Hello, fellow kids.
All right, PR.
That's hilarious. I got 2. One, Ben Alderman and Blair Morrison. I finished up doing the NorCal Classic qualifiers this week.
There you go.
Did kind of a last minute decision to try and fit them all in. Had a blast doing the programming. It was so fun. And we had like 8 to 10 people from our gym doing it too.
Cool.
And it was just really cool to see everyone fired up about it, supporting each other, judging, helping set up, do all of that. And I just thought they did a really good job of making the programming accessible, but also fun for a lot of people and get them outside their comfort zone. It certainly did for me, and I'm still sore from it.
Those guys do it right, man.
They do. And then last, this is a fan submitted PR.
Oh, is this a first? I think it's
might
a first.
Be. It says, I wanted to share a PR from a moment at TFX this past weekend. We were getting ready for the team finals and needed a judge.
Oh, yeah.
And we needed a 1-to-1 athlete ratio to run the judge to athlete ratio to run the event. Lauren caught wind of this and came back to the staging area and volunteered to help us out.
Hey,
she personifies what this community is and hopefully always will be. Give her a fist bump for us.
Oh my God.
And let her know that she's our PR for the week.
There you go.
Anonymous judge at TFX.
Nice.
Oh, that's so kind. They ended up not needing me, and it probably was when I put the sweatshirt on backwards. They were like, "Wait, we can't trust her to judge any of these athletes." Yes, that really happened. I was like, "Oh my god!" That's when they knew that they would be better off letting the athlete count their own reps. That didn't really happen.
Well, hey, way to step up. Good job.
You know, when duty calls.
That's right.
Exactly.
You
You answered.
Well, that's another successful round of PRs and no reps. Thanks again to Jack Farlow for taking the time to join us. We got Sam Quant coming up later this week. We'll be talking to him.
Sam Quant.
And then,
oh yeah, I like
and
that.
then I'm gone, and then it's like I'll be back, and
To
now we're talking. Now we're
Hawaii.
talking open
That's
stuff.
open, yeah.
Open time.
See,
When do those matchups and locations usually get announced? Every year I ask
That's
this.
what I was trying to
Like
think.
it should be relatively soon, right?
Really, for whatever reason, I thought that they like announce week 1 a couple weeks ahead of time, but then after that, isn't it just
I think
a week in advance?
I think it is just a week in advance. After that, you're right. They usually get the first one out
they
there
hype up
early,
the first one,
and then it's like you find out the next location at the end of the show.
February 4th, there was a How to Watch 23.1 live.
Okay.
But
they started earlier.
Yeah. They
so
started
February
a week earlier.
16th.
Yeah. So okay, right around Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye out for that.
February 10th or 11th.
Okay. That'll do it. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Thanks for listening as well. Always appreciate it. Have a great rest of your week. For Tommy Marquez, I'm Sean Woodland. For Lauren Khalil, I'm also Sean Woodland. That was very janky. Let me do that again. Cut. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for listening. For Lauren and Tommy, I'm Sean. Take care of each other. Be better. And we'll talk to you guys later.